985 million profit before tax in 2023. SML minimized under declarations but needs review. That is what the president has directed. Dr. Bawumia, Pope Francis holds talks in the Vatican to strengthen diplomatic ties, and we will prosecute corrupt officials. Professor Jane Nana Opoku Ajiman is promising.
I have with me the Business and Financial Times. Downstream petroleum audits crucial for revenue realization. That's according to the president. As SML services drive up revenue by 2.45 billion Ghana cedis. GRA clarifies tax status of resident individuals as legal experts encourage general compliance. And that story is on page 3. Investment and savings culture needs major shifts. TMS 2024 speakers. And then finally, ALPNG and Co. ALA form strategic alliance. That story is on page 2.
Okay, and the Chronicle, the big one. Please pick Natoshi as your running mate. And this from the Greater Accra NPP women organizers as they beseech Bawumia. We have achieved high level of accountability, and this is from the Minister for Public Enterprises, Joseph Kujo. He was speaking at the 2024 Policy Forum. And then the last one on the front page of the Chronicle is the Vatican gladly welcomes Bawumia.
I have the Daily Graphic. KPMG audit finds tax revenue increase. SML cleared to continue work. That's the president. My choice is belief in Ghanaian women, Professor Opoku Ajiman. Traders laud free SHS policy for bridging education inequality gap, and salaries of first and second ladies unconstitutional.
Okay.
The Daily Dispatch. Bawumia briefs Pope Francis on Ghana's socio-economic development. A new political party, Progressive Alliance for Ghana, PAG, to be launched. At the unveiling of Professor Nana, Mahama warns those jostling for positions if NDC wins will be disappointed. Ghana and CNNC sign agreements for the upgrade of Ghana's power project.
Okay, and the Daily Guide. No salaries for first, second ladies. That's from the Supreme Court. Latif Abubakar, Italian embassy partner for the license. And then President orders SML contract renegotiation. The big one is Bawumia meets Pope Francis in historic Vatican visit. And Nana pledges loyalty to Mahama. That's the front page of the Daily Guide.
I have the Daily Statesman, and the big story says, President directs action on GRA SML deal as KPMG audit affirms increase in tax revenue. LPG dealers in Upper East region welcome CRM for job increase. Bawumia deepens diplomatic ties with Vatican. NSS policy puts personnel first. That is Armstrong Issa, the corporate affairs manager. And NPP women want woman running mate. That is the Daily Statesman.
I have the ABC. Bawumia visits Pope Francis at the Vatican. State Housing Company hands over houses to Ghana Immigration Service in Kumasi. President Akufo-Addo commissions 15 megawatt power Kalio solar power plant. Government won't bear the cost of repairs for 40 train. Peter Amewu.
I have the Crusading Guide, the new Crusading Guide. And the new Crusading Guide says, free SHS bridging inequality gap in education. Akufo-Addo acts on KPMG reports, others review of upstream petroleum audit. Government close to achieving effective management of public enterprises. Then we have Ghana signs agreement with CNNC to develop HPR 1000 technology nuclear power plant. These are some of the stories on the front page of the new Crusading Guide. And my last paper is the Daybreak. And the Daybreak says, VIP in historic visits to Vatican. Anomabu chief, one other jailed for contempt, fined 5,000 cedis each. SML checked under declaration of petroleum products. That is also here. And then power challenges will end soon. That is the board chair of Electricity Company of Ghana is talking about the Doomsaw. The board chairman is promising that very soon the ongoing Doomsaw will end soon. And then the paper is giving us an alert. Says coming up, Sebastian and grabbing of juicy state lands at prime areas in Accra. These are some of the stories on the front page of the papers, and I think
start where you ended. The Doomsaw one. What is the board chair saying? Because yesterday I slept in Doomsaw.
Yes, the board chair is saying that.
In that one.
Well, the power cuts will end very soon. Hopefully by the time.
Where soon is when?
Well, just between 2 weeks to 1 month. The power cut issues. Nobody wants Doomsaw, so it doesn't matter what explanation they give. We will still put pressure on them that they should end it. We do not want a Doomsaw that will end in a month or in 2 weeks or whatever. We want it to end today because we want the power. That is the bottom line. So whatever they need to do to give us the power, so be it. See, there are a lot of issues about this Doomsaw in terms of fuel, ability to buy fuel for power plants, the maintenance and all that. And the maintenance, one thing we also have to admit is that this maintenance the lead engineers are foreigners. And
okay.
the lead engineers are foreigners. And in fact, these engineers, globally, they are in high demand. And therefore, if you are bringing them to your country, you want them to come and work on as many power plants as possible. I was looking for the explanation why we have about 5 plants, almost getting to 800 megawatts, all being maintained within that same period. Okay. Why don't we do it one every 2 months so that we don't have this? And the explanation is that the lead engineers that come to do these things, they come at a very high cost. And there is so much demand all over the world. So you cannot get them to come to your country alone 3 or 4 times in a year. You put your plans together and then try as much as possible to secure some days for them to come to your country and do as much as they can for you. And therefore, for me, I think all this that we are going through, I just also want one thing from the energy sector. How do we ensure that the next time we are going to do similar maintenance, we don't come to the level where this huge situation where we lose a lot of power? And then government should also make it possible, whatever it takes, the finance minister, everybody that matters, find the money and buy the fuel for the other plants so that they can give us power. We all know that we have over 5,000 megawatts of installed capacity. So if our even peak demand is not up to 4,000, then obviously if there is any problem with some machines, there are machines that we can easily switch on to give us power. And therefore this inability to buy fuel that Gridco had made us aware, clearly I think that we have to really look at it. But as I've always said, if you have followed the issues in the power sector, from the generators to Gridco to the distributor, ECG and the rest, if you look at the contract you have signed in terms of power plants and the rest, look, there is a whole lot of things we need to address within the power sector. In fact, when we say the economy is struggling, one of the key sectors that put the economy in problem is the energy sector, because the debt that is hanging in the energy sector and we need to find money to pay is a national conversation. I know that for now we are all focused on the doom, so we want it to end. But if it ends, I think as a nation we need to tend to how do we clean up the power sector that will make sure that all the huge debts and contracts and things that have turned all kinds of things around, we will be able to do it.
Let me find out from you. I mean, the stories that are coming out from what Mr. Herbert Crapper has said, some are sourcing it from a Facebook post yesterday.
Yes.
I mean, is that normal for the board chairman to put a post on Facebook and we take it with all the I mean, is that now a valid source of information from?
Well, now social media has become a valid source of information. Once the account is verified, and you know that indeed it's coming from the person, then obviously when the person is also a public figure or a very important figure that you can easily, that is a newsmaker, you easily pick it up. Because if we are having a power crisis and then the board chair of the institution that we are all accusing says that, look, give within the shortest possible we are going to, everybody is going to.
And so these are his words on Facebook. I can therefore state that the unfortunate power challenges Ghanaians are facing should be over in the next few days. We're fully confident that the measures being put in place should resolve the service interruptions. We empathize with all consumers and apologize unreservedly for the effects of the outages on our daily lives. Please bear with us. We're fixing it and we are nearly there.
Yeah, so we have to do it. And the call by Asante Hene that we should allow private sector participation in the energy sector, if you realize that it generates a lot of interest. There are some who said no. Let's be careful, like Dr. Simantia was saying yesterday. Look, we've done these strategic investment things in the past, and he doesn't think that we should go that route, and that we should rather consider actually listing some of these energy SOEs on the stock market.
Exactly, yeah.
And because that has proven to be successful with some state assets that we
he mentioned
on the stock market,
GCB
and GOIL, and therefore he believes that we should take that route. There are others who also think that, we should just give this thing to private people because we need fresh capital injection into some of these institutions. And if the investors who will be coming in will bring in fresh capital, it helps also reduce the pressure on government. And these are some of the issues we need to have a serious national conversation so that we agree if we are bringing private sector participation into energy sector, how do we do it? Are we going with strategic investors? Are we going to stock market? Let's have a conversation and agree and come up with facts to prove that indeed.
As an observer in the space, has the opposition NDC given a stance on this? Have they said anything?
Officially, I've not seen anything from the NDC about the private.
The way to go. I mean, in terms of the.
But I think the NDC will not have any problem because it was under the NDC that we started the whole project that led to PDS under the Millennium Challenge Corporation that. We want private sector participation to make the system efficient. So for me, I think that the records are there. The NDC will not be the one that will oppose any private sector participation. We still here. We all know that a lot of these IPPs were also signed under the NDC government under John Mahama. So obviously for them, if it comes to private sector participation, I'm not sure that they have anything against it. The problem is whether that route that we have taken by getting strategic investors in is the best way, or the suggestion by others that why don't we put on the stock market, raise the capital to transform the institutions for them to do what they are doing. And I think this is where we need to have a serious national conversation, because out of that conversation, we will then have a clear direction as to which one works for us. Either we go this way or that, or we want to do a hybrid where which aspect of the sector will need a strategic investor and which aspect of the sector
we can put on the stock market.
At the end of the day, all these suggestions will come and all agree that this is the best way. So I think that the doom so we are all shouting, but in Ghana our problem is when we have problems that we won't be coming out.
When it is solved,
the moment is the problem dies down.
When it is solved short term,
you understand it.
We keep quiet.
We keep quiet, and everybody knows that
it will come back again.
Things that will give you doom so is your inability to find the resources to buy a fuel for power plants. In fact, even under the Mahama Doomsaw era, the finance was also a part of the reason, because at that time, crude oil prices had gone up very high, and there were plants in the thermal area that could have generated some level of power using crude oil. But our inability to find the money to buy crude, that's why we had a huge deficit of the power challenge at that time. So we know these things, that our main problem is this. We should not wait till there is crisis before we are all bringing ideas, we are all shouting, we are all calling for dialogue. Please,
Mr.
let
Boating,
this not happen again.
Any thoughts on it? You've been quiet.
Yeah, I think I agree with him. I've been enjoying what he's saying, because all he has been saying has been on how we can solve it permanently, the long-term solution. And in fact, looking at the proposals that have come, are you going to list it on the stock market? That's where you want to raise money to be able to do that. That will also come with some risk. although it will come with the immediate benefits. And so that must be looked at. In addition to finding those strategic investors to pump money in, whatever the case is, once someone's money is going to come into it, it is going to come with some long-term risks that we must look at.
That's all right. I mean, there's this other story that for me, the Ghanaian Times story on the dismissed girl, the pregnant.
We'll do that last. Let's do the SML contract.
Okay.
And the issues that have arisen. You see, I think we need to educate a lot of people to understand that in this country, because of public sector inefficiency in many things, we've opted, and this is another issue of the private sector participation. We've opted to bring in what we call service providers into a lot of the sectors, especially when it comes to revenue generation, because we have established that in so many areas where public sector workers are supposed to be in charge of revenue collection, it turns out that some bad nuts within them will want to take opportunity of the loopholes to make big money out of that. And we think that, if we bring private sector in and they come and fill the loopholes, then we can then have more revenue for the state. So we have had this revenue assurance contracts, we call them revenue assurance contracts, in several sectors of the revenue side. And I can refer to something like Kelny GVG, which started as Suba and now it's Kelny GVG. It's a revenue assurance contract. We talk about the port, which the SML contract is part. You talk about the ICAMs from the era of GCNet to West Blue and the rest. They are all what we call revenue assurance contracts. The issue about this contract was that there was this publication and accusation that people were interviewed. They said that they were doing nothing, yet they were being paid. They were being paid. And the story came out and the president said, look, KPMG, go and look into it and let me know what has happened. From the statement issued by the president, which emanated from the report presented by KPMG, there are various important things we need to look at. One, the KPMG report says that indeed the revenue assurance contract under SML has beneficial qualitative benefits for the state. They said they discovered that at least for the 3-4 years that they have been in place, they've increased revenue in that sector by at least 2.4 billion Ghana cedis to the state. They also established that happened because before the implementation of the SML contract, there were under declarations and in the downstream petroleum sector. And look at here, the report quoted, report conducted by the Seaboard, that is Chamber of Petroleum Distributors, quoted 2 reports conducted by GRA themselves to find out about revenue in that sector. And all those reports, according to the KPMG report, all stated that there is indeed under declaration and revenue losses in the sector, which informed the decision to bring in the SML. And SML actually came to take over something that West Blue was actually doing. So this contract actually didn't start under SML. It's a contract West Blue was doing, and they came in to continue with the contract. And these are some of the positive things that the KPMG report has established, that indeed under declarations were going on, and as a result of this implementation, these under declarations have been minimized. It didn't say they were curtailed, it said they were minimized. And because of the real-time monitoring and all that the project was doing. And then the report also indicated that out of all that, they find that there are certain things in the report that need to be looked at. These people have the contract to do the downstream petroleum sector. But then they've also gone ahead to secure another contract that's supposed to deal with the natural resource sector. And the report says that the president is directing that the aspect that's supposed to deal with the natural resource sector, since it is yet to commence operation, it should be terminated. So the one that is the new contract to deal with the natural resource sector, the directive of the president is that should be terminated.
But it is interesting to note that in the report, it was actually said that KPMG also found GRA culpable a little, saying that one of the reasons why GRA might not have obtained all the expected benefits from the service was partly due to GRA's lack of instituting monitoring and evaluation processes to assess the performance of the service and hold its personnel and SML accountable for non-performance. What you have been saying from
you understand? So if you give me a contract to execute and you are not monitoring it, is that my fault as a contractor?
But you too, should you be
No, but I have my records. If you are not monitoring me, I will give you my records of what I've done. Probably if you are done monitoring, they realize that maybe there is something I've said in my report that is actually not true or half truth or something. But for me as somebody executive, I'll give you my report. And if you are doing monitoring, then you can identify that this one, no, we don't think that is happening based on our monitoring. But that's the thing I said. That's what it is. And then the KPMG report also found, and I think it's something we also have to look at as a country, that when the first contract was given to SML, there was no PPA approval. They wanted to do a single source project, and at that time, all applications to PPA were rejected under single source. And this single source issue, we have to pay attention to it, because when PPA has not given approval to something, can institutions go ahead and do it? I say this because in the Bank of Ghana building issue, we had a similar thing there, that the PPA actually rejected what the Bank of Ghana presented at a point. They went ahead and awarded the contract and later on came back for approval and it was granted. This report is also saying that though PPA rejected the single source approval, after some time that there was a new change in leadership at GRA, now they did application for it, and then it was retrospectively also approved.
No, look at it.
I think that we also have to look critically at the way PPA is working in this country.
Mr. Daku, look at the beautiful way it was sneaked in. So I'm still reading the report. It said PPA did not grant approval. Subsequently, GRA engaged SML as a subcontractor to West Blue, which was already doing the thing. So when West Blue's contract ended on 31st December 2018, then SML took over.
Actually, West Blue contract was actually not renewed.
Exactly. So when their contract ended,
because they were bringing in the ICAMS project. See, revenue assurance. The truth of the matter is that there are several factors. I wish we have time. We can go into some of the issues in revenue assurance.
We will do that.
There are those who take the position that the state institutions responsible are capable. Just provide the tools and they will do it. Others hold the view that the same state institution that you are talking about, they are in charge. And a lot of revelation shows that there are key people in this state institution who manipulate the system for their own benefit, and they will become very wealthy in the system because they exploit these situations. So if you want to leave it in the hands of the same people and you think that you get something better, they disagree, and that's why people go for the revenue assurance contract issue.
Let's continue that discussion in the second hour of the show, because it's something that we cannot exhaust now. Coming up at 6:50, what happens at 6:50? It's Zed Sports. Yesterday the big one was at the Merseyside Derby, and Nia Kwe, the sportscaster, is here to take us into sports. But we'll be back right after 7:15, and we'll go into top story and discuss a lot more of this. This is still Zed in the Morning right here, House of Zion, Z101.9 FM.
Here's Mensah, this is positive. Williams, Kudos, the Korean joy did not last for long.
Oh my gosh, Kudos, the piranha from Guyana.
And a warm welcome to Zed Sports, top of the morning to you if you're just tuning in. And this is Z101.9. And Niakwe, the sportscaster, is going to grace you through the sporting front. So much coming up in the next 10 minutes or so. Dreams FC have been slated to play Zamalek for the second leg at the Baba Yara Stadium. And news coming in is that they have been asked to pay over 36,000 Ghana cedis for the usage of the facility. And yesterday in the Merseyside derby, the blue side were smiling. A very powerful demonstration of robust, physical and determined play by Everton to grab all 3 points and put an obstacle in the path of Liverpool to their success in the Premier League. A news trickling in is that Xavi Hernandez will remain as Barcelona manager at least until 2025. We'll get into the details shortly. And so we start off from the local front. The National Sports Authority has requested a substantial sum of 36,070 Ghana cedis from Dreams FC for their utilization of the Baba Yara Stadium in their upcoming CAF Confederations Cup semi-final second leg encounter against Zamalek. Dreams FC have used the stadium since the qualifying stages, establishing it as a fortress throughout their successful debut campaign in the competition. In response to the advertisement circulated by Dreams FC, announcing free entry into the center line and popular stands at the Baba Yara Stadium, the NSA has taken action by addressing a letter to the General Secretary of the Ghana Football Association. In this letter, they have formally demanded a total sum of 36,070 Ghana cedis from Dreams FC for their use of the facility. Now, Ghana's Black Stars faced a setback in their opening match of a Four Nations tournament in Volgograd, suffering a 3-1 loss to Russia. The defeat came early, with Shilov Vadim scoring for the Russians in the 4th minute, followed by Daniel Kiselev's strike in the 31st minute, which included conceding from a penalty kick, and the final goal in the 34th minute by Zaka Kushin. The Starlets got their only goal through Ernest Ofori in the 65th minute. The defeat marks their first at the tournament. Moving on to our next story, the president of the Football Association of Zambia has been arrested and charged with money laundering offenses. The country's Drug Enforcement Commission alleges that Andrew Kamanga obtained government funds under false pretenses and was part of a conspiracy to defraud. The DEC says the 57-year-old used the money to fund trips for 2 associates to the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire earlier this year. Madalitso Kamanga and Jarius Siame, the 2 individuals who traveled to the tournament as part of FAZ's support staff, have also been charged along with FAZ General Secretary Ruben Kamanga. And so moving to the international front, the Merseyside derby, as I spoke about earlier on, Jurgen Klopp has expressed his disappointment following Liverpool's 2-0 loss to Everton in the Merseyside derby. The Reds were beating at Goodison Park last night as goals in either half from Jarrad Brathwaite and Dominic Calvert-Lewin settled the contest. Klopp spoke after the game.
If then rather mentally than physically, I don't know. That was not my impression. So we were not good enough today. We gave Everton the game they wanted. Both goals after set pieces. We started all right, possession good, bam, bam, and the first offensive action they have ended in a goal, which was disallowed for offside. So that gave everybody in the stadium a thing, yeah, let them have the ball. We just need it once and go. So these situations we didn't defend great. So we have to be really critical. Virgil is right. We have to look in the mirror. We have to be really critical with ourselves. So our counter press was horrible, and I know I mentioned that a lot. But it's just because when we lose a ball, we are in attacking situations we create, and we lose a ball, and the next ball ends up in a challenge with Calvert-Lewin and Ibu Konate. He wants to deflect the ball, or he goes down.
That was Jurgen Klopp speaking to the press after the game. Obviously deflated by that. It doesn't look like Liverpool are still in the hands. It looks like a two-horse race now. Meanwhile, Everton manager Sean Dykes describes their victory at the Goodison Park over Liverpool as a game for the people. Quote unquote, the Toffees now sit 8 points clear of the relegation zone in 16th place. Premier League safety within their reach as they celebrate a memorable Merseyside derby triumph. Let's take a listen to Sean Dykes.
Very much so. I've been proud of them since I've been here. You know, we've taken some knocks. We haven't always performed, but it's never lacked the pride of having them. The work ethic tonight, the commitment to the cause, and some of the performances I thought were outstanding. They're a very good side, we know that. They have some outstanding performances this season. We had to be aware of that, but we had to deliver a very good performance ourselves. We thought we'd have to defend well, we did, and we thought we'd have to create chances by counter-attacks, breakaways and set pieces, and I'm pleased to say that worked. But I couldn't be more chuffed for the fans as well, you know, because they've asked a lot of us when we've got it wrong. We wanted to repay them when we've got it right, and we've got it right tonight, and that's for them, without a shadow of a doubt.
All right, so Arsenal and Manchester City will be smiling at that particular result. Another twist in the tail for the race for the Premiership. And Manchester United were also in action. They won 4-2 against Sheffield United. And Eric Ten Hag said there were many positives from the win over Sheffield, but the goals they conceded were unacceptable giveaways. The chaotic victory ended a 4-game winless Premier League run for Man United to boost their hopes of European qualification as they move above Newcastle into 6th. Bruno Fernandes with a screamer for the 3rd goal, and of course Rasmus Højlund finishing it off, the icing on the cake, the 4th goal for United to seal the deal. Let's take a listen to Eric Ten Hag.
We were totally in control. I haven't seen a different game, sorry. I think we have two giveaways. We are 2 times behind, losing the game. So if I talk about 2 negatives, one focus, one indisciplined. But for the rest, I think we were totally in control, but the team showed resilience. And it's not easy when you're losing the game and then return, especially not against a compact team, as Sheffield tonight also was. But we outplayed them. We were calm. We let them run. We had many connections. We went to one side to the other side, also defending. We did well, and so we created a lot of chances.
Eric Ten Hag speaking to the press after that particular game. Smiles for Manchester United at Old Trafford once again. Now, still on the Premier League, Pep Guardiola says City's crucial Premier League trip to Brighton and Hove Albion tonight will represent one of their toughest games of the season since City last moved to the top of the table in the wake of Arsenal and Liverpool's losses to Aston Villa and Crystal Palace respectively. The Gunners have recorded successive wins against Wolverhampton Wanderers and Chelsea to regain top spot, with Liverpool also beating Fulham whilst at it. And so it's a very, very interesting game for Manchester City tonight. A big one. It could be a cup final for them. And here's Pep Guardiola speaking to the press.
Yes, enjoy the most, yeah. But always in November, December, always enjoy too. So every game is adrenaline, every game is important. So, but yeah, that is decisive. So now every mistake or every step back, so more difficult. But this is what it is. So we have been here last years, fortunately, many times. So that's why we know we are playing for. I would say the best for the players is important. I don't play. So important is the players have to be the best. Admiration is growing up every season. So they had a lot of problems. Important players was sold and like Colwill at McAllister, Caicedo. So they're really, really important players for us. They have a lot of injuries. They play through competitions, but the way they play always is there. So. Don is doing an incredible job in Brighton.
That was Pep Guardiola speaking to the press after before the game. It's a pre-match conference before the game, and obviously he's optimistic about the chances of Manchester City. And our final story takes us a little southwards into Spain. Barcelona coach Xavi Hernandez will remain at the club until at least the end of his contract in June 2025 after changing his mind that this will be his last season. The 44-year-old announced in January that he will step down as boss this summer. But with President Juan Laporta keen for him to remain, the former Barcelona and Spain midfielder has performed a U-turn. Xavi took charge in November 2021 after leaving Qatari club Al Sadd and guided Barca to the Spanish title in his first full season in charge in the 2022-23 season. And so on that note, we draw the curtains for this edition, the Thursday edition of Zed Sports. We'll be back later on the drive with Gattuso to the Power 7. Of course, I'll be here tomorrow with a preview edition for Zed Sports. My name is Niakwe, the sportscaster, and coming up next is the business segment. Remember, the message is always simple and golden. Do not count the days, whatever happens. Make the days count.
Here's Mensah, this is positive. Williams, Kudus! The Korean joy did not last for long. Martinez,
Oh my gosh, Kudus, the piranha from Guyana.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Hello and welcome to the business news segment here on Zed in the Morning. I am Saka Abdullahi. Coming up this morning, Guta appeals to government to adopt energy alternatives to sustain businesses. Delta Airlines to serve Ghana with new Airbus A330 and 900 neo. And also good news, CD slides against major currencies. Stock market remains stable though. Let's go into the stories. The Ghana Union of Traders Association has appealed to government to adopt alternative sources of energy, including solar, to reduce the country's heavy reliance on hydro and thermal power. President of Guta, Dr. Joseph Obeng, said the move would ensure a more reliable and affordable energy mix to boost the growth of businesses, spur trade, and augment Ghana's economic stability drive. Dr. Obeng called for the integration of solar energy into the national grid. According to the Guta boss, failure to pursue alternatives could worsen the erratic power supply with far-reaching consequences such as crippling of businesses, increasing noise pollution, and risk causing fire outbreaks in markets due to congestion amid high use of generators. He said the call had become necessary because the power outages were becoming persistent with no clear information on what the government was doing or any indication of the challenge being solved anytime soon. Away from that, from October 27 this year, United States-bound travelers to and from Ghana are set to enjoy greater comfort and convenience as Delta Airlines flies its new state-of-the-art Airbus A330-900 neo on a non-stop service from Accra to New York JFK. The brand new A330-900 neo aircraft will add nearly 1,000 more seats each week between Ghana and the USA. Speaking to journalists at a media roundtable in Accra, Delta's Senior Vice President for Europe, Middle East, Africa and India, Matteo Corsillo, said Delta had worked to deliver an enhanced travel experience in Ghana and was looking forward to welcoming customers on board the new aircraft come October. Customers, Matteo said, can expect Delta's best-in-class service and uniquely premium on-board experience as they travel to and from the USA.
This new plane will have over 60 seats more, 30% more capacity than the current plane, so which means that this aircraft will help develop the relationship between US and Ghana even further, in addition to cargo capabilities that are much stronger than the one that we have today, so it will help also the cargo ties and the trade between US and Ghana. So I think everybody will be very excited about this change. The cost in terms of price tickets is always a reflection of demand and offer, so I think you will just see a continued dynamic of pricing that are related to our competition and our condition in the marketplace, but no difference because of the plane. I'm sure this aircraft will represent the very best for the customer. As you know, these are the latest technology. We will offer Wi-Fi on all the flights between Ghana and the United States. We already offer free Wi-Fi domestically, but we're also announced already free Wi-Fi internationally.
Matteo used the opportunity to express his gratitude to Delta's customers, the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority and the Government of Ghana for their continued partnership. Deputy Director General Technical at the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Mr. Daniel Akwa, welcomed the development but hoped that the increased passenger numbers for the airline will translate into affordable airfares.
Delta on their old aircraft that has been causing delays, cancellations. Perhaps it's out of these meetings that Delta is bringing on board this aircraft. So we are very happy. You have a larger aircraft and there will be more passengers, and then some airlines may fly a bigger aircraft with maybe less passengers. But then once we have a very new and modern aircraft from Accra to the US, we believe that definitely they are going to fill this aircraft. So we're somehow asking Delta that if they could reduce their fares a bit when they start with this aircraft and the aircraft is being filled to capacity.
On to the financial markets. The cedi continued its downward trend against the three major trading currencies, while the stock market has maintained stability with no significant fluctuations. The cedi's depreciation against major currencies such as the US dollar, euro, and British pound has been a concern for investors and businesses alike. The currency's decline against these major currencies has implications for importers, exporters, and consumers, impacting the cost of goods and services. On the other hand, the stock market has shown resilience, with no notable fluctuations in recent trading sessions. This stability in the stock market provides a sense of reassurance for investors and market participants amidst the currency volatility. For a comprehensive review of the Ghanaian financial markets, here is Tessa Capital.
Welcome to a recap of the markets, brought to you by Tessa Capital Limited. During the third trading session of the week, the Ghanaian stock market maintained its stability with no fluctuations observed in the stock indices. Both the composite index and the financial stock index remained unchanged at 3,504.34 points and 2,044.52 points respectively. Market capitalization saw a slight increase of 0.01%, settling at 78.3 billion Ghana cedis by the end of the session. The new gold ETF experienced a rise in its share price, closing the day at 308 Ghana cedis, marking a 0.72% increase from the previous session. Market activity witnessed a decline, with traded volumes dropping by 81.25%. By the session's close, a total of 366,219 shares, valued at 1,239,232 Ghana cedis, were traded, with GOIL emerging as the most actively traded stock, accounting for over 95% of the total volume traded. The Ghanaian cedi experienced further depreciation against the three major currencies. Specifically, it depreciated by 0.51%, 0.45%, and 0.39% against the US dollar, British pound, and euro respectively. According to the mid-rates issued by the Bank of Ghana, the Ghanaian cedi settled at 13 cedis 14 pesos against the US dollar, 16 cedis 33 pesos against the pound, and 14 cedis and 4 pesos against the euro. This brings our review to an end, and from all of us at Tessa Capital, make it a great day. Visit us online at www.tessacapital.com or call us on 050-154-6859 for more information. Tessa Capital, grow your wealth.
We thank Tessa Capital for those insightful market updates. Let's move on to the international front. UK-based mining giant Anglo-American says it has been approached by larger rival BHP about a potential multi-billion-dollar takeover offer. Anglo-American told the BBC that the proposal is currently being reviewed by its board directors, but did not reveal the value of the offer. BHP did not immediately respond to a request for comment from the BBC, but if the deal goes ahead, it would be one of the largest mining mergers in years. Anglo-American, which operates mines in countries like Chile, South Africa, Brazil, and Australia, has a stock market value of around 29 billion euros. Australian-based BHP is the world's largest publicly listed mining company with a market valuation of about 229 billion US dollars. The move comes a year after BHP bought copper producer OZ Minerals for $9.6 billion. If finalized, the deal would increase BHP's access to copper through Anglo-American's operations in South America. The price of copper has risen on the global markets by more than 15% this year. Prices have jumped due to the metal being in high demand as the shift to clean energy accelerates. That is all we have for the business news segment this morning. But before I leave, a recap of the major stories. Guta appeals to government to adopt energy alternatives to sustain businesses. Delta Airlines to serve Ghana with new Airbus A330-900 Neo. And in some not so good news, the city slides against major currencies, but the stock market remains stable. I am Saka Abdullahi. Jerry Ham continues with the show.
Zed 101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle lurcher.
That work and do it excellently with a reputable company, then that reputable company is looking for you. Why don't you call the number 0544 351019? I repeat, 0544 351019. That job could be waiting for you. Call and call. And if you have a business and your business is not booming as you expect, or it's booming but you want to take it to the next level in terms of bringing your brand before the right people, I have good news for you. What's the good news? Two powerful media houses or media entities under one umbrella, ZFM and the New Finder newspaper, are coming together to give you exclusive advertising packages. Join the ranks of thriving businesses. Make a move today. Call and let ZFM and New Finder be the voice of your business. What is the number to call? Once again, it's 0544 351019. 0544 351019. I hope you were there on Monday and then on Tuesday and yesterday. Why? Because today is the 25th. We have today, tomorrow, and the next to go. What am I talking about? Is the Société Générale Ghana Jazz Festival coming live at Alliance Française, Accra. Alliance Française, Accra, featuring mesmerizing concerts by Bibi Bru, Yomi Silva, Kokwi Salome, Rocky Dawoni, Aluni Wade, Sheffield Demons, West Coast Busian, Black Muse Entertainment Band. There's an artist vision as well going on right now as we talk, and then there are insightful workshops all happening at Alliance Française is the Société Générale Ghana Jazz Festival. Mark it on your calendars and don't miss this very amazing experience. They say it is where music meets magic. Get your targets, your tickets. I beg your pardon. Get your concert tickets for 100 Ghana cedis for one day, and 180 Ghana cedis for 2 days at Allianz Francaise Accra by dialing short code star 800 star 1010 hash. You're gonna get your tickets. 100 Ghana cedis for a single day, 180 Ghana cedis for 2 days. This festival is brought to you by Alliance Francaise Accra, Societe Generale Ghana, and is sponsored by Wakanao, Telbia, Ibis Hotel, Homeland, Wigal, Felix Co Media Display, and Canal Plus. Media partners: Z101.9 FM, the New Finder newspaper, ZOnline.com, Asasi Radio, YFM, Joy FM, MX24 TV. FM also brings you the brighter side with NYA the brand, Mondays to Fridays, 10 a.m. Right after this show, right after the morning show, NYA comes your way with the brighter side as she makes your life brighter from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. this and every Monday to Friday. On Tuesdays, every week, every Tuesday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. What is the show? It's I Have a Story to Tell, and it's Honorable Fritz Buffalo right here on Z 101.9 FM. Then there is Time with Professor Stephen Adai. It comes your way every Saturday, 8 a.m. The theme is Abundant Living right here on Z 101.9 FM. Z 101.9 FM also brings you Z Gospel Groove with DDM every Sunday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. David Aquamensa comes your way with his beard and all, giving you the Z Gospel Groove. DDM got you there, right? Every Sunday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. I know you're locked in listening to the morning show. Are you also aware that 5 a.m. every morning, Mondays to Friday, the anointed Reverend Joshua NST comes your way with morning blessings right here on Z 101.9 FM. You want to start your day right? Why not? Tune in to Morning Blessings, 5 a.m. this and every Monday to Friday, and listen to the man of God Joshua NST as he brings you morning blessings. Yes, so in the second half of the show, we're talking revenue assurance. Revenue assurance. The SML report is out, but what are we discussing? You see, the truth is that every business needs to ensure that it identifies, analyzes, mitigates, and prevents revenue leakages. It is expected, even in the most well-managed and well-resourced organization, revenue leakages always happens, and it happens through a number of ways, which is why businesses put in place a range of measures to ensure that revenue leakages are plugged. Because if you have the bucket which has holes in it, it doesn't matter how many trips of water you put inside, it will still leak. So revenue assurance is actually a process that is used by these businesses to identify, analyze, mitigate, and prevent revenue leakages. Now, it is aimed at reducing risk of losses due to errors, negligence, or even fraud. And it helps businesses identify opportunities to increase their revenues and maximize profits. Now, think of it this way. If government, therefore, is a business, or is to be run like a business, then revenue assurance models are to be expected, because even the most private businesses put in revenue assurance models. So revenue assurance models are just a part of doing good business, and it goes beyond simply managing revenue-based activities such as billing and collection. It is also concerned with detecting possible opportunities for cost optimization and streamlining operations. So yes, it is important. Why do business need it? Is integral to the success of the business. The more you leak or the more you hemorrhage revenue, the greater your chances of not surviving, and pretty soon you're out. It happens to government as well. So whilst I'm talking private business, also think in terms of government. So there are a few reasons why companies need to implement revenue assurance models, and also why public sector businesses like government as a business machinery needs to ensure that revenues are not leaking. Accurate records, losses. It also improves efficiency, increases compliance with regulations and all that. So now let's come home as Ghanaians. We have a business called the government, which is also into business, doing all kinds of business around. There are the ports, there is oil and gas, there are the natural resources and all that. So the government would also need, necessarily so, revenue assurance models. However, if you and I know anything about the way human societies run, the very good that revenue assurance models are supposed to provide, it also becomes a very nice way for revenues to leak. Now, think of it this way. Just use the bucket analogy again. The bucket has 15 holes, and they are leaking the water out of the bucket. Someone comes along and says, you know what? I have what it takes to plug the holes so that your water doesn't leak. However, the person plugs 12 of the holes, leaves three, and of the three, one of the holes is enlarged. So whilst it looks like the person has plugged the holes, the person has also opened a larger hole, and there's leakage of the water. The water here being the revenue. Let's look at Ghana as a business. And then let's now dovetail this whole analogy into the SML discussion and the reports thereof. And then let's extend it to other revenue assurance models that have occurred in this country, so that we have an idea of what is happening. And this is top story for today. Once again, I welcome back my colleagues, Mr. Elvis Daku and Mr. Emmanuel Boateng. Gentlemen, welcome again. Did I paint a good picture?
Oh yeah, the picture you painted.
Okay, so now if Ghana is the business, first of all, let's go into what are some of the revenue assurance models that we had put in place over the years before we come to this current one, which is trending today.
Well, I think from even before 2000, working with the IMF and the World Bank and the rest, we realized that one of the reasons the country's revenue has challenges is huge leakages. Because the people who work in institutions that are revenue generating also have made up their mind that they have to be rich out of the state money. So they devise all kinds of schemes. You go and pay money and receipts will not be given you. Somebody connives with somebody that the duty for this car is supposed to be 100,000, but Charlie, I will give you like 20,000. Then you give me 40,000 to this duty, and I pay there. I save some money. So it was across everywhere. Petroleum companies will go, and the taxes that they are supposed to pay to the state, they will not want to pay. So they want to do under declarations. So it turned out that the state was losing a lot of money. And the understanding is that, okay, if the people who are working for the state are in charge of these institutions, it turns out that a lot of people are taking advantage of these loopholes to enrich themselves at the expense of the state. Not all of them, but there are some people in every institution that actually take advantage to make this money. And then the state is dry. So then what do we do to block these holes? And then the idea of why not use revenue assurance models to make sure that the system that is monitoring what comes in is not controlled by those who are working for the state institution, but they are controlled by those who are working for a private institution. The reason we chose...
Why? Because what? The private institution has more integrity than those within the state.
Aside integrity, the private institution... No, the private institution is going to be paid based on how much revenue has come in.
They generate.
So if the state the institution that don't make enough money,
we don't pay the
percentage you get for your money is low. So then the private company has a motivation to make sure that as much as possible
all the holes are plugged.
Able to block as much as possible the hole, so that the revenue the state gets will go up high. So that what he gets
also go up high.
So assuming you are supposed to get a 0.5%. If you generate 1 billion, 0.5% calculate, and you are able to help the state to get from 1 billion to 10 billion, you can see your 5% from the 10 billion. So obviously the private company has a business and a duty to make sure that as much as whatever holes are available, block it, let the revenue go up, and then the 5%, 0.5% that you are entitled to will become big money for you.
Hold your thoughts there. Ima, if from what Mr. Daku is saying, by motivating them with a percentage of what they generate, they're able to do better, or they are more stringent because their lives depends on it. Now, Ima, let me find out. If those same individuals working in the state organization, that is the individuals in there who allegedly were making money out of the holes I spoke about, why can't we also motivate them by saying, if you generate X, we'll increase your salary to Y?
Jerry, I think that that's a very important question you're asking.
Yeah, so that they will become as motivated as possible to increase revenue.
But I think it is, you see, the whole revenue assurance thing is made up of 3 components. The people, the process, and then the technology.
The people, the process, and the tech.
Yes, that is very important. Now, these people, their attitude towards what they do is also defined by where they find themselves.
Okay, so hold. People, attitude, and technology.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
No. People, process, and technology.
Okay, now wait. The state-owned enterprise doesn't have the technology. It can acquire the technology.
No, sometimes they can acquire, but the fear is that the same person will manipulate it if he has
because
access
there are people
because they are the same people who are manipulating the existing
technology.
system.
Okay.
That is there for their private benefit.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter which technology you put there, so long as they will have access to the back end, because probably the state is the one that is managing it. So various key people in all the
so necessarily we need a third party
because of the manipulation. Okay. What is the guarantee that if you deploy the same system and put the same people in charge, they will manipulate the same system for their benefit? You understand it?
Okay.
So then bring a third party and say, I'm paying you 0.5% or 0.1%,
okay,
based on the total revenue that will come. So the more the revenue go up, the more money you get as a third party.
But Mr. Dako, let me come back to you.
A system.
Why are we paying revenue on the percentage on the total revenue? Why not on the additional revenue?
That we are coming there. I'm coming there, and that is what I have always been saying this thing for so many years now, but nobody is listening. That for me, if I'm generating 10 billion, and you said that I have done work to show that indeed I could have made more than 10 billion.
Yeah, 20,
my own report has
20
shown
or 30.
that I can make 30 or 20. But I'm not making it. It's because there are loopholes. If I'm bringing a revenue assurance platform on board, the wisest thing to do is to say the 10 billion is already assured. I already make it already.
Yes.
So you won't get the peswa from that. If you're able to increase the additional revenue that come, is on that I will pay you that commission. But if you look at the contracts we have, it's the revenue assurance contracts that I have seen, especially I can speak about the ones that are about the ports. They are not
on additional,
based on the additional, but the total revenue. So the point is, why is that I am able to generate 10 billion. And then if you come to help me generate 15 billion, I am paying you the commission on the entire 15 billion. I should be paying you the commission
on just the 5
based on the 5 billion that you have added to the kitty.
Yeah.
And then the more it goes up, the more you get.
Okay.
But then the contract I've seen did not say that. It says this percentage over the total revenue. So it means that the 10 billion I'm already generating, I'm still paying you commission on that.
Yeah.
And that I have raised that issue with.
Okay. So
from 2000 something that we brought in GCNet to the port to do the work. And then we move from GCN to West Blue, we move away to ICAMS and all these things.
Yes,
I have always said that the money we pay should be based on additional revenue, not on the total revenue. But unfortunately,
now
we've been doing payment on rather the total revenue.
Well noted.
As against additional
well
revenue.
Noted. Now, as Ghana as a country doing business, which are some of these revenue assurance models in what income generating corners of the of
we
our
have
business?
a whole lot. Even currently, ECG is using Haptel to control it, how you buy your app, your credit online and all that, because they had a system and somebody could go and sit in the server room and generate tokens and sell credit to people that the money doesn't even go to ECG's account. ECG did an audit and they said this is the total number of vendors. By the time they finished the audit, the total number of vendors have doubled.
So they were internal vendors.
There were vendors who were actually selling ECG credit, and they are not in ECG system.
The artificial ones.
Too much.
But they got ECG credit to sell to you and I, but they are not in the system. So the ECG doesn't know that these people are even vendors selling ECG credit. You understand it?
So
we have revenue assurance in the telco sector. We said we don't believe that the telcos are declaring the true revenue that they make. So we started with Suba Info Solutions. And then Suba came under an NDC government. And let's make it clear, all this revenue assurance contract, you have to have favor with the government in power to be able to get it. That's one we have to declare. You need to have some favor with government because it is more of people with connection. People with connection that get these deals. So Suba did this work, and then when this current NPP government came, they reviewed Suba and said, no, they are not satisfied with Suba's contract. Suba was being paid $1.5 million a month for the revenue assurance deal. And that they bring in a new company called Kelly GVG. And they brought in the Kelly GVG. Kelly GVG is paid $1.1 million a month for their work is done. And the argument is that if they have reduced the payment from $1.5 million a month to $1.1 million, they've said the state $400 million from the revenue assurance from the telco sector, so it's fair. So that is there in the telco sector.
Well,
and we come to the main single generator
The big one, the big daddy
for the state of Ghana is the GRA. And Temaport happens to be the single revenue, largest single generator for the state. In terms of everything, the biggest revenue Ghana makes is from the Temaport, is from the port.
Okay.
It's from the port. So during President Kufuor's time, we decided to bring in a company called GCNet to bring in all the technology to make sure that people are not able to now say, if your duty is 100,000, you pay 40 and give me 20, and then we make it like that. We brought in GCNet. They did their work up to a point. And then when there was a change in government and there was an NDC government, there was a new company called West Blue. And okay. West Blue was to take over the work from GCNet. It turns out that the GCNet contract was extended before the decision to bring in West Blue. And so for the contract could not be terminated for fear of judgment debt. Yeah. So the part of the work that GCNet was doing was given to West Blue to do, because the claim and argument was that the GCNet system they are bringing looks superior to what GCNet was having. So they were working together until the current NPP government came to power. And then when the current NPP government came to power, they decided that when the GCNet contract runs out, it will not be renewed. Same also happened to West Blue. And then now we have another company called Integrated Customs Management System called ICAMS, which has taken over all the duties. In all these contracts, you'll see that it is variable payment, that this percentage of revenue you generate will be paid to you. So we are paying that percentage to people for revenue that the port is already generating. Part of the money they are getting is all revenue we are already assured by the system.
It wasn't as if it was zero.
The system, so they are being paid as if when they came in, the system was zero.
Yeah.
And that all the total revenue is being generated because of their system, which is not the case. But if you look at all those contracts, that is what it has been. It's a percentage payment. That's why when you look at the directive from the president now, that this particular SML1, the payment should be changed from variable to fixed cost. Then it means that they will have to go and visit all the revenue generation models in the system and make sure that each of them is paid based on fixed cost instead of variable cost. And then we must go to the next level to say that what we're assured by the system before you are coming in, you are not going to get any payment on that. If you are able to add more to it, it's the additional one.
Did that appear in the president's
recommendation? No, I didn't see that here.
Okay.
Because if in the SML contract, per the audit of KPMG, the revenue increase is 2.45 billion. It meant that even if we are paying them variably, the payment should be on the 2.45 billion.
Exactly. Yeah.
The payment should not be on the total revenue. And if they were being paid on the 2.45 billion, a percentage that is will be less than 1%, I'm not sure that SML would have made 1 billion. But per the report, SML so far has been paid 1 billion cedis.
But before we go on, so these revenue assurance models that come in, don't we do due diligence on those behind them?
When we say we are going to do open contracting system where a beneficial ownership register will be created,
exactly,
where is it? This particular government, with the current finance minister, Dr. Amin, has been one of the biggest advocates for this beneficial ownership register. We are in the 8th year of this government. I'm yet to see any beneficial ownership register. So you see, politicians will tell us good things that we all know that will help bring transparency. But when you give them the power, the question, do they do it? Because I remember very well that Dr. Amin and this NPP government, one of the promise they gave is that there will be a beneficial ownership register so that for every company, we know those behind it.
Okay.
Where can we find that beneficial ownership register today? It's not created. So it's difficult for you to know who is behind which contract and who is behind this contract. But as I've said, this contract, whichever government is in power, you have to be very powerful in that government, whether you are in a government or you are a financier or whatever it is. You must find favor and be very big person to be able to have access to some of these revenue assurance contracts in the system.
Good.
And that one, nobody can run away for. It's a fact.
Mr. Watt, yes, the political angle will come. Mr. Watt, let me find out. The fixed cost and the variable, which would benefit Ghana the more?
I think that, for me, I will not even want to use, because they may appear quite technical. I think that what you have added to profit should be what you should be paid on.
Okay.
Or what you have added to revenue.
Exactly.
Because you see, I think it would mean that before you came in, no revenue was collected at all.
Yeah, zero.
But that is not the case.
It was being collected.
And so it is the additional revenue you are adding.
The number of holes you plug is what we should pay you on.
I think that should be the case.
Okay.
We shouldn't be paying people on everything. That will not because historically, and in fact, historically, we also expect that things will be going up because one, population is increasing, and the amount people are paying as taxes is also increasing.
Your argument is that even without a revenue assurance model,
things should be
there would have been an escalation of the revenue,
and your profits will keep on fluctuating.
No, but in government, sometimes your revenue may even be going down. Because if there's opportunity still is becoming bigger, the revenue will never go, because they know that the government knows that this is how much we can
and
collect.
so what are we doing to them? We are keeping them to their toes. We are keeping them to their toes.
Interesting, eh?
And see, we should also understand that all these revenue assurance models are supposed to block some money some cabals are making illegally from the system.
Within the system.
Within the system. So when you are bringing a system to also block what cabals are making, definitely you face serious opposition.
It's war.
They will also want to say that your system is not working because you are also trying to block them from making money. Let's take the SML deal. Let's say that the 2.45 billion that has come. Assuming it's not there, it means that money was not coming. It means that some individuals who were doing the under declarations, companies that were doing under declaration and swerving the system, this money would have been stuck in their accounts as their money. And now, because of your system, those monies will no longer come to them. You don't expect those cabals to sit quietly and say that, oh, you are doing a good job. They will definitely find ways to say what you are doing doesn't work. Secondly, those who are in the public institution that we say they are stealing, they have been stealing, so we are blocking their stealing. You don't expect them to also be happy with you. Interestingly, the same people who say they are stealing and you are trying to block them, when you bring the system, though you have the oversight responsibility, is staff of the same institution that you train to actually operate the system you are operating.
Okay.
You still train their workers to be able to help you do the job. So then they say, but this thing we are getting something small. Now you have brought the system to block, but still using us to do the work.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, whilst we have been blocked from getting our shares, you now are being paid a hefty amount as commission or whatever for the work you are doing.
So we are motivated to sabotage you.
So it means that we are now working and you are getting paid from our work because you have come to successfully make the claim that we are stealing. And therefore, if you are given the chance, there will be no stealing. But that savings you are making for the state, part of it, actually a hefty amount, is coming back to you, the contractor who brought the system.
Mr. Barton.
Yeah, I think that we need to change as Ghanaians.
Oh, why?
Yes, I know I'm saying what I'm saying. You see, why is this becoming an issue? Why is this happening? Which people are enjoying from the leakages? It's Ghanaian people.
Okay.
We are, and you see, to seal the leakage, you need to pay someone.
Exactly.
Out of the additional money you are getting because the leakage has been sealed. It looks like the same money, some of it will go back to people who are to ensure that we seal that leakage. Why don't we change our attitude towards work?
So that there won't be leakages at all.
There shouldn't be. And
even if there will be revenue assurance models.
And I think that is the reason why, when you look at the model, people process technology, they are trying to reduce the number of people who should be working on these models,
the contact,
so that the technology will be more. The problem too is that the people to control the technology are now also coming to benefit from it. So it looks like
are you saying we are moving the stealing from internal to external?
But we have legalized it. The one who has brought it, that's why we have a legal contract with you that will give you 0.5% of the money you collect.
Until we change our attitude.
Okay, and then in a year, the 0.5% is like 300 million to a company that owned by about 5 or 6 people. They are making 300 million. And then those of us who are doing the work, who maybe I can sell 100, somebody can sell 50,000, somebody can sell 1 million. But at the end of the day, a lot of people take part in the stealing for us to be able to steal that amount of money from the state. Now that all money, when it goes to the state, then they say this percentage comes to you alone, you're making like 300 million in a year. So, our 5 people who own the technology that will own the 300 million or 200 million a year. And the person sees the contract and says, we have made payment of 200 million or 300 million to this company in a year. Meanwhile, we are the ones that are actually doing all the work. Our salaries are not the ones that we are happy about. These side issues are the ones that we are using to help ourselves. You brought technology to come and block it, but 5 or 6 people who own that company, with the technology you have deployed, you are getting 300 million. Let's say you spend 100 million to maintain and retool the technology in a year. It means you are keeping 200 million to yourself for only few people. While if the normal still is the one that's going on, plenty people would have enjoyed it. Okay, and then
he said normal stealing.
Yes. Oh no, that is the reason. The normal stealing of public money.
Yeah, you see, Jerry, the thing is sometimes we sit back and say government is corrupt, government are doing this, and sometimes the ordinary citizens, if they are not the main culprits, they are accomplices.
We help the system become more corrupt,
and so it's like we are stealing ourselves.
And very few are enjoying.
Oh, certainly. As for stealing, not everybody goes to steal. A few people steal, a few people enjoy.
And those who are able to steal are like the big people from middle, big people to you small ones stealing is not that.
And these are leakages. You started with a nice illustration. If you've punctured holes in a barrel or something, the water that is supposed to come into the barrel, the level to which it must go, it won't. And every time you see it's like Ghana is being stressed to pay more tax and to pay more duties among other things. You are being stressed to pour more water into a barrel that is punctured.
We are indirectly being taxed to pay the few who are making the money from the
That
leakages.
is another way to look at
but the point is like 2.4 billion has increased, and that's the additional revenue. If the system has not cut, the 2.4 billion will not come.
We will not see it.
Will not come. You understand it? So somebody say it's the lesser evil. If you legalize it and you pay the person that commission out of the additional income, why you save money? But as I said, we are not even paying on the additional income. We are actually paying a lot of these people based on the gross revenue that comes in. In fact, if you check, was it before the end of last year or early this year? There was a story where West Blue has gone to court and is asking for almost 300 million. That how much the amount they were paid. They've done their calculation. They were underpaid by their contract. So government owes them almost another 300 million that they should be paid. If you go and take that West Blue court, you want to see the total payment that has been made with their contract. You say this is mind-boggling. If you want to, so the point is that what we are doing, though, is increasing the revenue. As if the system hasn't come, that increase we have seen will not be there. So that money will still be going to people. And as I'm
so the
telling
system
you,
is good.
The cabal that you are trying to block from stealing, they will not be happy with it. Those who are benefiting from the leakages, they will not be happy with you that you have brought a system that is preventing them. The workers of the state institutions that also make additional money from this side and side issue, if you block it, they will not be happy with you. And then the third problem in the system is that, Jerry, maybe, don't forget, we are a big financier of a particular party. And the party comes to and realize that the port is the juicy place to make money. So I'm going to find some revenue assurance something or the telcos or something. Okay. Then, as I present my plan, they choose your plan above mine. How do I make money? I should also find a way to try and put you out the spot that probably what you put there is not good. Because I want the same thing. So you see, once you want to deploy systems to fix things, in human interest as to who is not getting money anymore from something, will also come to play to fight the same system that we think ought to solve the problem. So the question is,
how do we ensure this thing doesn't become cyclical? Every new government brings its new revenue.
But if ECG is having 87 accounts, what's the accounting for it?
That's another scheme. Maybe next we have to discuss the multiple accounts.
And today he was telling me there is over 50,000 public sector accounts.
Yeah,
bank accounts.
I think Dr. Mantiel even touched on it.
You understand it?
How do you even audit that?
We'll come to that.
Jerry,
last words on revenue assurance model.
I think we need to entrench clauses. We need to make laws that will hold people accountable. And when they are found corporate, I think they need to be dealt with to serve as a deterrent. And we've said it here. You don't only deal with them by imprisoning them. You make sure they pay the monies that have been lost. Not the same amount that...
with an interest.
They should pay the future value of that money. What 10 CD meant 10 years ago is not what 10 CD means today.
Okay,
it means
well
something.
put. Mr. Dakun, last words on revenue assurance model and
we should work
leakages.
with efficient revenue assurance systems. I support that. 2, we should never pay revenue assurance companies variable. We should pay them fixed costs. we should pay them fixed cost. If we are paying you 5 million a year, we are paying you. Instead of this variable cost, we should stop it. And then third, if that amount is going to pay as variable cost, it should be only on the additional revenue that is coming in, not total collections. I think that this is how we should review these revenue assurance models. And I also think that we are using a lot of private systems as revenue assurance models. If we can put together some smart IT brains, employees of public sector institutions, and say, come out with basic revenue assurance models that we believe can work, I think that we can, the government itself can find ways of doing, because you see, right now there are hospitals you go to, you pay money and you are not giving receipts. That's why some of the big hospitals now, they have employed the banks to collect their money for them. So if you go to Telsavi or Kolebo and you want to pay, there's a bank booth there, you go and pay the money in it. It's also a revenue assurance model.
Yeah, it is.
Because they want to ensure that whatever payment is made goes straight in the bank account and not some individual giving you receipt which is fake, or it's not giving you receipt at all for whatever money you have paid. So I think that as a country, we all are saying that we need to generate more revenue. But if revenues that are supposed to be paid and should go into public accounts to help solve our problems will be going into private pockets, we should also not countenance that. The KPMG report said a Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributor report confirms that in terms of our declaration and losses of money in the sector, huge amounts they quoted in their own report. That report was not government. Seaboard is a private institution of private oil importing companies who also have done their own report and found that this has happened. We have not forgotten that ANAS has gone to the port and caught several customs officers collecting money. We saw what has happened in so many other places. You talk to people who deal with institutions in terms of payment, they will tell you that there's a lot of payments that people do that are supposed to go into public accounts. But the payment, the manner in which the payment is done, the way they are made to do that payment, they know very well that that money will definitely not end up in the state account. So if we are looking at ways of blocking these things, I think that is important. However, we should not do that in a manner in which the revenue that comes largely also goes to the private person. That is also not in our interest.
Okay.
We should pay reasonable cost for whatever they are doing.
This conversation, we can never end it. We will keep coming to it back to back to back, because we want to help ensure that the citizens know what is actually happening. 7:55. What is 7:55? Coming up is your favorite segment, Business Briefs, right here on Zed in the Morning. How to bring value to the market. On Monday, we spoke about the fundamental way businesses can bring value. A business can be established as a product. Then on Tuesday, we spoke about service. Yesterday, we spoke about shared resources. Shared resources, right? And today, Thursday, we're talking about another form of business, or another form a business can bring value to the market. Today, we're talking of subscription. Subscription, that is another form of value a business can bring to the market. What is a subscription? A subscription provides predefined benefits on an ongoing basis in exchange for a recurring fee. Right? Predefined benefits on an ongoing basis in exchange for a recurring fee. And the actual benefits can be tangible or intangible. The key differences are expectation of additional value to be provided in the future, and then that fees will be collected until the subscription is cancelled, right? You want to give a good idea. A good idea is cable television. It's like cable television, right? So you know you will get this number of channels. Every month you pay this amount. So it is predefined, your benefits, and then the amount you are paying. Just that in this part of the world, the increases comes as and when the provider feels like. But anyway, it's still subscription. So in order to create a successful subscription, you must, one, provide significant value to each subscriber on a daily basis. So if we are using cable television, you know, everybody has what they would receive in terms of channels and all that. Then also build a subscriber base and continually attract new subscribers to compensate for attrition. What does this mean? It means advertise more, bring more subscribers, because some will leave. I know some people who are very customers of a very popular cable television service provider. They leave. Why? Because they've increased their rate. Now you've gone high. They will just stop and they will decide to watch our normal televisions here and there. Or they will even go to social media. And then also build customers on a recurring basis. And then retain each subscriber as long as possible. There have been people who have been on some of these cable networks for like 10 years. Yes, so retain them as long as possible. Subscription is an attractive form of value because it provides more predictable revenue. Think about it. If you have 10 and they are paying 10, you know you're getting 100 at the end of the month. You can plan with that 100. You can even go to the bank and say, listen, you know I'm going to get 100 at the end of the month. Can you give me a loan of X amount? So it provides more predictable revenue than the three we are talking about, which is product, service, and then shared resources. Instead of having to resell to your existing customers every day, it's important that subscriptions allow you to build a steady base of loyal customers over time. So subscription is a very important way that a business can provide value to the market. As long as you continue to make your customers happy, only a small percentage will cancel their subscription, right? It could be a magazine, it could be anything, but it's a good business that you can get into, and it will give you an ability to plan with your finances more. And subscriber attrition, which is how many subscribers you lose, would also come down if you are filling in more. So those that you are losing, you won't feel it if more are coming in. So yes, this has been Business Briefs. We've been talking about shared value. We've been talking about how to provide value to the market. On Monday, we said product. On Tuesday, we spoke about services. Yesterday, Wednesday, we spoke about shared resources. Today, we've spoken about subscribers or subscription as a way of a business. This has been Business Brief right here on Zed in the morning. 8 o'clock, we're coming into Zed Talk, so don't touch the dial. is an annual convention or convening of 500 top CEOs, heads of state, entrepreneurs, and business leaders from across West Africa and the globe. And we'll be talking to the chief executive himself, Mr. Ernest Ejiri, is on the line. Ernest Ejiri is the chief executive of the Ghana CEO Network. We want to talk to him and find out what is happening on Zed Talk. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Ernest, I hope all is well.
God is good. We are fine.
We thank God. The CEO Summit. Let's go way back. And you and I have had these conversations years ago. Where did the idea and this whole concept of the CEO Summit come from?
Well, the concept came on the back of a gap on the market for topmost decision makers to connect as peers for social capital gains and for intellectual capital gains. That is the essence of the Ghana CEO Summit and the gap we seek to fill, which we have successfully done. Yeah.
Okay, so since 2016, when the first one happened, how has it grown? What has changed over the years?
Well, the CEO Summit has pushed through very important business reform policies in Ghana. You know, for the first time, policies have been reformed. If you take the Registrar General Department, the divisions and the separations for effectiveness are all some of the communiques from the Ghana CEO Summit. CEO Summit started with 100 CEOs audience, and today, but for lack of conference space, we'll be doing 1,000 CEO audience, but today we can boast of 500 CEO audience. We have rich content, and pivotal to the design of our conference as always inviting the president of the country or the vice president of the country or the former president of the country to sit with CEOs to share ideas. Aside the other benefits of having corporate brand spotlights, networking, and giving business positioning and signing deals. This is where we are today. We have become an important platform where ideas are shared, where advocacy is contained on a practical level.
Okay. Ernest, there are those who say this thing is just a meeting of big men. They go, they drink, they have a great time, and then they go back home, and then 1 year is done. What do you say to those?
Well, big men don't have time. Big men have cafes in their houses. They have clubs where they go and relax. In every developing nation or a developed nation, there is what we call a thought leadership platform. Thought leadership platform for peers, for important discussions and meetings. If you go to United States, they have over 1,000 thought leadership platforms like the CEO Summit. In Africa, one of the biggest that has begun to turn around nations and corporate organizations is the Africa CEO Forum, etc. The turnaround of Rwanda, Mauritius are ideas from thought leadership platforms. This is where experts meet. This is where practitioners meet. This is where policymakers meet to learn and for practitioners to learn lessons. So it is not a place at all for drinkers. In CEO Summit, we've even never served alcohol before. So it is a thought leadership platform that is making a lot of momentous gains for business people. For instance, let me give you a case in Ghana from the CEO Summit. We have a constant panel. It is called the CEO Business Case Panel. On that panel every year, we discuss how a CEO, how an organization can undergo radical business transformation, and not just that, but also building an African multinational. Most Ghanaian companies were not moving out of the borders of Ghana. Through this thought leadership platform, I, as a founder of the CEO Network, can tell you a cohort of more than 70 CEOs and businesses in Ghana that have expanded through the knowledge that is shared. They have cohorts. and I have the documentation of these companies. Please take note, we are making huge impact, and it's a serious platform.
Ernest, it's also said that although it's a one-day event, there are proofs that businesses are closing deals during this one-day event. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. I act as the witness and the broker of all these deals. You see, one thing people don't know is that the CEO network of Ghana exists as a business club with 1,000 topmost CEOs across industries. I hope you get me, Jerry.
I do, boss.
So we are not a one-off. The CEO Summit is just a one-day festival of a lot of deal originations, peer networking, and building of trust already on our platforms that exist. We are on a WhatsApp page. We have our own page on other platforms. We mix and talk. My office and my staff continuously broker deals between CEOs. So the summit becomes a festival, the day that people who have not met before can meet. People who have met before decide to renew their friendships. So it's a whole festival. And the one day is impactful. It used to be 2 days. When we did a survey for 300 CEOs who have attended the summit for more than 3 times. And the survey outcome was that CEOs would prefer 1 day fully packed, rich content summit than the 2 days. Because Mondays and Tuesdays are busy for them, and not just that, sometimes they miss some of the panel discussions and the expert insights. So, yes, it's 1 day, but it's quite an impactful 1 day.
Okay. Let me find out. Africa Continental Free Trade Area. What is the CEO Summit doing in conjunction with them to take Ghana to the next level?
Good. This year, we have introduced at the CEO Summit what is called an industry outlook. And the industry outlook is, the topic we are discussing is after and manufacturing leadership. After and manufacturing leadership. So we've invited the president of AFTA, Wamkele, to come on board the summit to lead discussions in that regard. That is our first step to disseminate information practically to CEOs to know the opportunities. So we have made it a topical a panel to talk on CEO leadership, manufacturing leadership, and after. If you ask me, that is opportunity for more CEOs to be there to learn from experts and those who are already taking advantage of the after.
Fantastic. Ernest, I'm also told that this year it will be a bit heavy on AI. Why AI, and what are you expecting?
Well, Jerry, the world has evolved. And we are in the era where AI has taken over. Ghana's economic development is in circles. And repetitively, it has not helped us improve our quality of life. We've gone past digitalization. AI is the order of the day. We have brought experts to sit and see how we can use this class of technologies to help improve not only public service administration, but the private sector business effectiveness. So if you ask me why AI, it is for business and economic development essence. That's why we have chosen the team. We are bringing some great experts to lead masterclass at the CEO Summit, to take the CEOs through, to take government-appointed CEOs, to take invited guests through how AI can be leveraged positively for businesses and the economy. That is why we have chosen that theme.
Okay, we are told that this year's summit has a plan for SOE, state-owned enterprises. Could you please share a bit of light on that?
Very well. In the same line, hitherto SOEs were not contributing to the GDP of Ghana. Now they are part of the country's accounts to contribute to the GDP of Ghana. We have success stories from SOEs like Bost, right? Bulk Oil Storage. It was a loss-making organization.
Okay.
Today, it's a profit-making organization paying dividends to government. I think they've even rebranded now. Their new name is Bulk Energy.
Okay.
You can take National Lotteries. It was a loss-making organization. Now they are making profits and paying dividends to government. You have GDLA that has transformed how they used to do things. You have VRA, that was a loss-making organization now making profits. You now have Mineral Income Investment Fund, MIF, growing fund from where they started to an appreciable level. These are success stories. These are great stories that we believe of the 160 government-appointed CEOs and agencies. We believe the CEO Summit is a platform for most of them to congregate and learn from best practices, ethics in turning around public organizations. So it is the reason why we are paneling government sector CEOs and private sector CEOs to share ideas and to learn. Look, these government-appointed CEOs are our regulators. They are our regulators. We can't leave them behind. The CEO Summit, in a positive way, has incorporated government agencies and is creating this panel for success.
Amazing. Ernest, I'm looking at the program, and one of the things that really piques my interest is the presidential plenary section, a high-level dialogue. And you are saying that you're going to put together what? Current and former presidents of this very country. Senior, is it going to happen?
If you know our track record, we've hosted presidents throughout the life of this CEO Summit from 2017 because we are Ghanaians, we are taxpayers. Look, the members of the Ghana CEO Summit are the largest contributors, largest taxpayers. They contribute to the GDP of this country, if you know. I said we have congregated the 1,000 topmost CEOs into the CEO network across industries. So when we meet to learn, to share ideas, and push policies or influence policies, who else can we have with us apart from the president of the land? Who else can we have with us apart from the former president of the land? Who else can we have with us apart from the vice president of the land? These are the people steering our very quality of life in this country. So we believe it's important that we have them with us.
Have they confirmed? Have they confirmed?
I'm coming to you. More so. And this is an election year. More so, this is an election year. And positively, we would like to use our platform to let the Ghanaians see that these two presidential candidates and Northern brothers and Ghanaians can actually sit at one table to share their business manifestos with CEOs. That is why we are working behind the scenes to host the two gentlemen.
Yeah, I was finding out if they've confirmed.
What I will tell you is that they will be with us at the summit.
Amazing. I can't wait for the summit to start. So now you understand why I was giving you pressure about a month ago.
I was telling you, let's do the press conference.
I know.
Let that start all the press engagement.
I know. We had that conversation. My brother, there's something you and I have spoken about before. I want us to go into this thing.
Are you up there now?
No, I'm still on there. I want us to touch something.
Okay, all right. I'm listening.
That divide between industry and academia. Where ideas are being pushed out there, but they are ending up on shelves. And they are not being How can we use this amazing platform, the Ghana CEOs Network, to ensure that great ideas don't end up in academia, but they are also brought into industry for Mother Ghana to benefit?
Jerry, you bear with me that this topic you have broached have become, I don't know the word, but it has been discussed severally since me and you were born, since we are contemporaries.
Yep.
It goes beyond just talk. Universities have to incorporate in their curriculum industry practice. You get me?
Yep.
It exists. It's not like it's not there. Universities have to make it academic policy that students go on industrial trips, students go to business world to do attachments and to learn. Universities have to make it a point that when students are designing their thesis, etc., they practically engage industry to make the thesis relevant. All academics will tell you that we are theorists. They are theorists and they are academicians. That is their strength and that is the essence of learning. When you come to industry, they are practitioners and that is what brings goods and services to build the economy. So until a conscious effort is made between industry and academia to find a hybrid model to begin to channel the research outcomes into practice and into industries, I'm afraid the situation will continue to remain same. More worrying is the fact that we in Africa, we are only consumers of technologies and certain industrial practices. So it doesn't push us into putting our knowledge into practice. You want a salute to where it is given. You want to set up an industry. The guidelines, everything comes from expatriates and consultants abroad. You want an apparel. It's already imported. All these policies does not encourage putting into practice the learnings or the research from the universities, because we are at the end of consumption of the world product. So it goes more than bringing us a platform for discussion, but it's a good start. And the CEO Summit of Ghana has University of Ghana as partners. Then we have other knowledge partners as Deloitte and PwC because of the very high standard and best practices that we preach at the summit. So University of Ghana, for instance, are our one of our knowledge partners, and they bring students from the business school during summits to come and sit and learn from industry. That is our way, we believe, as leadership, we can start.
Amazing. Very, very amazing, my brother. Any final words before I let you go? I know you're on a busy schedule today.
I want to tie in that the theme of reigniting growth, that is business and economic growth, and charting a path forward with focus on artificial intelligence transformation and economic diversification, calls for an action on the part of our political elites and leaders to begin to make best practices and ethics, their emblems, goals, and vision. It is not enough to have politicians in power not to lead us in a way that they improve the quality of life of the citizenry for whom they have social contract with. They should set examples so then that Ghana can be turned around. These are my last words.
Thank you very much, my brother. Friend Ernest de Graft Ejiri is the founder and CEO of the CEOs Network. Amazing conversation with him. And this year, the vice presidents are coming together. The former and the current are going to be there. It's going to be an amazing experience. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us right here on Zed in the Morning.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you so much.
All right, my brother. Okay, so you heard him. They're coming. The president and the current and all that. If Ernest says they'll be there, chances are they will be. Are right here on the station. You want to tune in to Z101.9 FM and listen to Country Express with the legend Tommy Anamforsen. Sundays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and Wednesdays 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Country Express right here on Z101.9 FM. Are you also aware that we have Living Word with Dr. Mensah Otabil here 5:30 a.m. daily on Z101.9 FM. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and listen to Living Word with Dr. Mensah Otabil 5:30 a.m. daily. Highway 1019 is our drive from Mondays to Fridays 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. with Oforiwa Oyo and Ngozi Boateng coming your way with exciting show that puts a smile on your face despite the stress of the workday. Highway 1019, Mondays to Fridays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Then the brighter side is a show that comes on right after the morning show. It's at 10 a.m. and it's all through to 1 p.m. Mondays to Fridays. NYA, the brand, is the hostess with a mostess. I have a story to tell with Fritz Buffo every Tuesday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. right here on Z101.9 FM. Tune in as Honorable Fritz Buffo talks to amazing Ghanaians doing amazing stuff. Every Saturday at 8 a.m., Professor Stephen Adai comes your way with a show with a theme, Abundant Living. Listen to the good old professor as he gives you nuggets for abundant living. Z101.9 FM every Sunday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. DDM, David Akwamensa comes your way with a show titled Z Gospel Groove right here on Z101.9 FM, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So yes, he takes you to church and brings you back after that. Then on Mondays all through to Fridays, 5 a.m. that early, you want to tune in and start your day right with anointed man of God, Pastor Joshua Eneste, as he takes you through the Bible to set your day absolutely right. Have you attended? Attended what? Are you not aware that Société Générale Ghana and Alliance Française have put together an amazing show called the Société Générale Ghana Jazz Festival? Visit them. It started on the 22nd. It's going all through to the 27th. So you have today and 2 more days to go. Go watch amazing and mesmerizing concerts by BB Brew, Yomi So, Akokwi Salome, Rocky Dawoni, Aluni Wade, Shuffle Demons, West Coast Ibusian, Black Muse Entertainment Band. Yes, there is also an artist vision, so please go check it out. Then there will be some solid workshops as well, very insightful workshops to just give you the right information at the right time. Mark it on your calendars, the Société Générale Ghana Jazz Festival, where music meets magic. So how do you get our tickets? Yes, walk into Alliance and get your ticket. 100 Ghana cedis for 1 day and 180 Ghana cedis for 2 days at Alliance Française Accra. Then you can also dial the short code *800 *1010 *800 *1010#. This festival is brought to you by Alliance Française and Société Générale Ghana and is sponsored by Wakana Hotel Beer, Ibis Hotel, Homeland, Wiga, Felix Core Media Display, and Canal Plus. Media partners, yes, Z101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio is a media partner, as well as our sister newspaper, the New Finder newspaper. ZOnline.com is also a partner of this amazing show. Asasi Radio, YFM, Joy FM, and MX24 TV. The Société Générale Ghana Jazz Festival. Visit, and as you visit, send us a message of your experience. You can do so via the line 0544 321019. The 0544 321019. Yeah, I took my time to say it because yes, I'm doing what I'm told. Yes, 0544. I'm being a good boy. 0544 321019. So if I read it quickly some time back, I'm changing. I'm a good boy now. Yes. So also, you're listening to us this Thursday morning and you need a job in the area of sales and marketing. You believe you have the experience to go with it. Why don't you call? There is a reputable company that is looking for somebody like you. The number is 0544 351019. 0544 351019. Yes, still on Zed in the Morning. Let me take this last one. So you're a business that is struggling to get your brand in front of your audiences, the right market. Your target market is not getting to know of you. Why don't you call ZFM and then you find that they're combining to give you an amazing advertising package. It's exclusive to you. Yes, for your business. Join the ranks of the thriving businesses that are calling ZFM, and then you find a newspaper to be your voice of their business. So call 0544 351019. 0544 351019. You're still tuning in to Zed in the Morning.
In the heart of Accra, nestled in the vibrant neighborhood of East Legon and New Beacon, a 360 multimedia firm has emerged. Introducing Zed Multimedia. With a steadfast focus on lifestyle, leisure, and business, we set out to bring high-value oriented programs that captivate the taste and desires of our audience. From the captivating airwaves of Z101.9 FM to the dynamic visuals of Z TV and the innovative realms of Z Digital digital, and the incubation of advanced technological knowledge at Z Tech, every facet of modern media is meticulously curated to engage and inspire. Also, let's not forget the New Finder newspaper, now under the Z Multimedia umbrella, delivering insightful journalism with a business focus. Join us on the journey where innovation meets inspiration, where lifestyle meets leisure, and where business thrives. Change is here. Z Multimedia, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform.
Our cultural practices versus the human rights of individuals. Are we flouting human rights by claiming their cultural practices or otherwise? We'll be talking to Nana Fredi of Riata on this. It's still 8:36. Yes, we're still in the talk segment, and we'll be bringing you Mr. Daniel Kojo-Usu to tell us about the CEO Summit and everything around it. He's a Deloitte country manager right here on Zed in the Morning. Let's make some people money. Let's be billionaire.
Be a billionaire, so make a bad.
Z 101.9 FM. Yes, so we're still talking to Mr. Daniel Kojowusu, who happens to be the country director of Deloitte. We want to ask him the experience at the CEO Summit, how it's been like over the years, and what the expectations are, and how this whole CEO Summit affects our economy and what we should look out for. We'll be speaking to him right after this. This is still Zed in the morning. Don't touch your dial. We're right here.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
that are used in communicating might all have varying meanings in varying cultures. So think about it this way. The non-body language that we use, signs, and that we use in communicating might have different meanings elsewhere. A thumbs up might mean something somewhere. A thumbs up might mean something somewhere else. It might mean a totally different thing to do a thumbs down somewhere. In another culture, a thumbs down might mean a totally different thing. However, it's been found through research time and time again that there is one gesture that is understood by all, and that is the smile. The smile is that one gesture that is understood by all. So, a research was done and they found a group of people, a tribe that has not had any contact with the Western world. And they showed them images of people smiling. And when they asked them what the images were conveying, every single one of them got it right. The smile that the persons showed had the same meaning: pleasantness, pleasure. So a smile is a universal language, which is why, because it transmits affection, friendliness, and all that it goes with, you don't want to play with a smile at the front line of your business. It doesn't matter what business you are into, so long as you are placed at the front line, you must be somebody who understands the power of the smile and who uses the smile and uses it well. Somebody says, but what if I am in a business where things are heavy and things are serious and people are sad? Like I'm in the business of life insurance and somebody has lost their life and all that. What do? There is a smile that conveys it'll be well. That's the message that smile will convey, that it will be well. So you need to learn how to smile if you're at the front line. Smiles are created from the mind, so think positive thoughts. Somebody says, how do I do that? It doesn't matter the situation you find yourself in. You can always generate a good smile. Why? Because the smile comes with your mind and it comes from thoughts. So if you can change your thoughts at any point in time, you have it in you to change that smile. If you can change your thoughts at any point in time, you have it in you to change the smile. Be conscious when serving customers. So why is that important when it comes to smiling? The truth of the matter is that there are times when you're so serious at the front line, if you're serving 101 customers in the line and you are so serious on your work and all that, you would lose that consciousness of smiling. That's why we're saying that always keep in mind that you need to smile. You need to smile. And if you're not in a good mood, think about something that would normally put a smile on your face. You have no choice. It's part of your job. Don't forget that the customer is paying for not only that product or that service, but the customer is paying for your positive emotions that comes with the service. Think about it, and includes a smile. So what am I saying? The customer is also paying for the smile. So smile when you must. That has been the customer service moment for today, the Thursday, 25th of April, 2024.
Zed.
culture and human rights, the clash between culture and human rights. We started the last week when the issue of the Gbobu, Ulomo, and now Kromo came up. So, yes, we're talking to someone who understands the space. Nana Fredia is a consultant in culture. Good morning, sir.
Hello.
Good morning, Nana Fredia. My name is
Morning.
Jerry. Good morning and welcome to Z101.9 FM.
Yeah.
So we've been talking over the past weeks about the clash between culture and human rights, and we are privileged to have you on the line, and we want to have the discussion with you, sir. If you could please first start by telling us what some of these our cultural practices that have potential of infringing on human rights are. If you could share your thoughts on that.
Say that again. That I should talk about.
I mean, we want to have a discussion on the clash between our cultural practices,
right,
and the potential of these practices infringing on human rights.
Right.
Okay, so that is the broad discussion. So we wanted to start it out by asking some of these cultural practices which have the tendency to infringe on human rights.
Well, I don't take that position because I think that it's biased against our cultural practices. If you start off saying there's something called human rights and therefore there are some cultural practices that are biased against without an appreciation of what the so-called cultural biases are. I mean, even the use of the word bias in itself is a bias against cultural practices. And so for me, I don't start things from that angle. We've all been so westernized that we're caught up in this stuff against ourselves more than understanding who we are. And so that's the stance that I took. Therefore, I haven't really started to highlight what I'd consider going against human rights. I don't think my great grandparents and my great forebears sat to concoct or come up with these things that we've used to nurture ourselves over these years and be blessed as a result. I don't think they came up with it to destroy human beings. Otherwise, we wouldn't exist. They brought it up to manage us. If over time we believe we've developed, it does not negate their work. So I don't take that position.
That's well understood, Nana. But as important as it is that our culture is an integral part of our identity and also a display of
culture is an identity. It's not like culture is separate from you.
Okay.
Everything about you, from when you sleep to when you wake up, and everything in between, it's culture. Culture is not some cut-out portion of our lives where you can go and tap into and open a tap and it flows and shut it when you like. You and I are indulging in culture now because we're using language, we're using thought, we're using technology. Everything about that is culture.
But what about those who have said that in practicing some of these cultural identity practices, we violate fundamental human rights principles?
Those violations, by whose laws? By whose laws? That's the question. I'm arguing that we can readjust our actions and thoughts to suit what we consider modern times. We shouldn't start from the negative, assuming that we know more than our forebears. What has been the cost so far? Right now, as we speak. People argue that the youth don't regard the old. Respect is out the window. Ethics gone. People are corrupt shamelessly. And where do we think all that came from? Where do we think all that came from? It came from a disregard for what made us who we were before. Before we started using those terms against ourselves, what were the terms we used? Upright people, respected, regarded, respect your home. Where did you come from? Don't you have shame? We use positive terms to manage ourselves. Now we use negative terms to make ourselves look good. Where does that come from? It comes from us, one, making ourselves look bad about who we are, which is all those cultural norms that you are trying to point out as biased against being against human rights and all of that. Those are managed things you manage.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me give you what just came on into my mind. Today, when you're going to get married, they tell you that when you take your drinks for your wife or your potential bride, it's called engagement. And then when you go and do what they call a white wedding, that's marriage. That white wedding, which has no connection whatsoever to familial integrity, to rooting your new relationship. That one we have now begun to consider to be the right way to do things. I find it strange. I find it totally strange. As opposed to when you go and knock, that's engagement. When you knock on the family door. You don't knock on some individual where you went to kneel and put a ring on her finger. Just the two of you. Commitment that has no social contract. You go and knock, and the family leader meets you and hears your case, and you make a case for why you are the one who deserves to be given the hand of that woman. And then basically the formation of a totally new line of two big families begins. And we think that one is more lowly than standing in a corner and putting a ring on somebody's finger and then using mobile phones to take a picture and sharing it to the world. And that one makes you more superior. I don't get it, my brother. So we should, I guess what I'm arguing is that we can readjust things to suit what we believe are modern times. But let us not do it by denigrating our forebears and what they thought for us. Today, what we think is wrong. Some people are reintroducing it into their own systems. They come and tell us ours is bad. Then they go and use it in their system, and we are not thinking. They tell us ours is bad. And then they go turn around and adjust it to suit them and use it. So that's my long answer to your short question.
Now, is it that we've lost a very good definition or a clear definition or understanding of what culture actually is?
I believe we have. You know, when you go to an event, you say, oh, cultural time or something, then some people come and drum and dance.
Yeah.
And then when your village leader is coming, I don't like to use the word chief. When the village leader is coming, go and find out the chief thing. And why did those Europeans who use the word, why did they stop using it for themselves? Go and find out. And you see that that in itself has its own undertone. So when your village leader, clad in lovely cloth and things, comes, that's what we consider that culture. But why don't you think that when you woke up and brushed your teeth, it was a cultural act? There are some people who don't brush their teeth when they wake up. So we need to understand these things.
Amazing. What then would you define as culture? Just so that those listening to us who are a bit confused now are brought into the light.
Well, as far as I've come to understand, culture is everything about us. It's easy to zero it out for analysis and academia and, commercial advantage and all of that. So you'll say arts and culture and it's somewhere to, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that because it helps. But the real definition, you see, let me take governance, for example. Then they'll have a ministry for arts and culture. But who said that the Ministry of Finance is not the activities of the Ministry of Finance is not a cultural act? The things that we do at our Ministry of Finance in Ghana, is it the same thing that they do at the Ministry of Finance in China? You see, so yeah, it's your way of life. Period. Culture is your way of life. Period.
and we seem to have lost it. Now, I think this discussion came in when this Bobu Wulomo and this now Kromo thing came up. And what didn't we get in that discussion? Well, where did we lose that public discourse?
We lost the discussion when we did what you did at the beginning of the show, and it's not an indictment to you. When we took the position that this Western influence on us is more relevant and important than who we really are. That act in that place, nobody started off the discussion by inquiring the history of that. It was after everybody had passed their initial judgment about it. Then we started, okay, if you say this is who you are, where did it come from? What does it mean? You don't do that. When you hear something like that has happened, you see, and if something untoward was going to happen, you think they will be public about it. And then I keep asking this question. If we are honest and not as hypocritical as I believe we have been on this matter, how come over decades reports have come of teenage pregnancy in Jamestown? And we don't report so. Newspaper reports, academic papers, TV reports and all the documentaries. How come we don't think that is still a problem and we haven't been able to solve it? But this one act of custom where nobody saw that the old man was taking the young girl into his bedroom, but they did some ceremonial something. Certainly, we are the best judges in the world. We are more than the Pope about ethics. Jamestown, where they actively have teenage pregnancy issues. I'm not passing judgment on them, but I'm saying that if we claim that that is supposed to be a wrong thing, how come we've known that publicly? We have Ministry of Gender, we have Child Education, but how come that one, we don't say anything about it and make sure that it changes? But this one act that is seized now won't happen again for for a while. And which the people there openly showed you that there was nothing evil about it. Why is it that we want to disrespect them?
Nana, so if we pick a practice like FGM, it's embedded in the culture of the people, and evidently it has some negatives to it. How do we handle the negatives that come with some of these practices and the times we find ourselves in?
I think that it's not a one-day affair. I think that we need to accept that we are a unique in the sense that we're caught between a rock and a hard place when it comes to who we are supposed to be. If you talk to somebody like Fritz Baffel, he'll tell you that everything that we claim is originally ours is not originally ours, and that there are influences from all over the world. And I agree with him. It is the same with everybody else in the world. But when you claim something to become yours, then you must use it positively for your development, not negative against you, positively for your development. And that does not include negating your history and your past. We sing songs like who knows Jesus? They should tell me how many people are related to somebody in the Jewish community right now. Your grandfather and your great-grandfather who put the fear of God in your family. And the fear of God is not a Jesus thing. It's a spiritual thing. They put the fear of God in your family by all those rules and regulations that manage that. Suddenly they are bad people, and yet you live blessed. You live a blessed person. And yet your forebears were living curses, and you have not suffered from those curses. And then the very Bible you talk about, they curse people by generations. So if your grandparents were doing cursed things, how come you are blessed? I mean, come on, people. Come on. I don't know. But it's not a one-day affair. It's we need something of a cultural revolution.
Okay.
That's what we need, yeah.
Education would have to play a big part in it?
It is the first port of call, my brother. If these things I'm saying were taught in schools, you'll have a lot of people who think like me. I don't claim to be the best thinker in the world. I'm saying that you'll have a lot of converts people who begin to accept that we must be proud of who we are. None of my children have English names. If they have English names, their mothers gave it to them, not their father. Because there's a history behind it, and it inspires the child as they grow. That's why you name your child by your grandfather, your grandmother, your great-grand-aunt, somebody who was positive in the lives of people. There's a basis for everything. When we go to the Ghana state, you have Adokwe, Adote, and all that. It's not for nothing. There's a certain pride in there that we must express for ourselves. We don't want to hear it. So we lose. I mean, these conflicts that come, ethnic conflicts and things. The other day somebody was telling me, there's a village somewhere in Togo. When you go there, they have the same gun names as the guys in Accra. That's history. That's culture. That's something to be proud of and sell to ourselves. Give us confidence. Show our youth that they come from somewhere. Somehow we've lost all that. So today, when you hear somebody from Togo, the first thing is some kind of negative thought. I mean, why?
Would legal reforms play any part in this?
Oh, yes. Go to 1844 and start from there. 1844 is what I say is our problem. 1844 is where, I don't know if you know, but when our laws were handed over to the white people, and then we said that they should rule us with their laws. We start from there. Maybe to help our legal thinking.
The infamous bond of 1844.
I'm not a lawyer, so that's my lay thought about how maybe legal stuff will help our culture. Because yes, I mean, how is it that, think about it, you are the boss of your house. A problem comes to your house. In your family system, your house, you have the magistrate court, the appeal court, and the first level of the Supreme Court. When they come to the level of Supreme Court, which is you and your wife, a decision can be taken. They take it to the Bushiapeni. That's like, where would you rank that? The World Court or whatever they call it.
International
Court.
Yes,
of Justice.
exactly.
That's the ending point. Yeah. Right now we disregard all of those things. Totally. And now people don't even know how to do those things. They don't know how to manage those things. You go to an Ebusiapeni, who doesn't know how to be an Ebusiapeni because they are so westernized, they don't even understand what it means anymore. You go and you are solving a problem. They can't even give you history of the family to tell you that on this basis, this is the decision we're taking. There are people who don't know who their grandparents' names are, what their grandparents are. That's how bad things are. We have a lot of work to do, man. That's culture. So don't negate the young people just because you don't understand them.
Interesting. So the West has actually been very conscious, and they've been forceful in pushing their practices to the rest of the world. And like you're saying, we consumed without even asking questions. Now that we are being enlightened by thoughts like yours, what would you advise we do? First, individuals, and then as a nation, and then as a continent, in order to reverse these things?
Okay, I have to go into a meeting, but I'm quickly telling you that I think that there should be total social engineering, and all of us should be prepared to change. All of us should be prepared to change. We should be prepared. The change is not a negative thing, and it's not overnight. It should be start with confidence and pride in where you come from. Start with that. Once you start with that, everything else. That's on the individual level. On the state and national level, we need to put our cultural institutions back on track. We need to do things that will create the environment for everybody else to have resources that will let them grow in their culture, in who they are. So you, for example, wouldn't come just to me and to other people, but you probably go to some institution like the Bureau of Languages to find a particular meaning of particular words and names and things, and you'll sell that to the public, and the youth will be proud to call themselves that and use those words. So it's a myriad of things. I have to go into a meeting. So
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Nana Freddy
because
Oforiatta.
of you, I have to pay money, but I won't pay.
Thank you so much, sir. And I'm sure we'll be having this conversation another time. Have a great day, sir. Yes, so you've been hearing from Nana Fredia Uforiata, who happens to be a consultant in the area of arts and culture. You heard him. It must start with you. Too westernized, not understanding our own selves and our own culture. This is still the Arts, Culture and Tourism Thursdays right here on Zed in the Morning.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
your own view about the impact of westernization on our culture, you can send us a WhatsApp on the line 0544 32 1019 0544321019. You can also follow us on our social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, and on X at ZFMGH, and then also on YouTube and TikTok. It's Z Multimedia, at Z Multimedia on TikTok and YouTube. You're gonna get us there, so please do just send us your thoughts on this whole discussion. The impact of Western culture on traditional African society. Is that what has led to the clashes? Is it that we are lost as a people that is leading us to these kinds of clashes between what culture is and then human rights and all that? This is Z101.9 FM.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
broad ways of defining culture, the broad categories of culture, the material, then non-material, you realize that in both ways, African has been so westernized. And when I say westernized, I might even skew it and say Americanized. Look at the first aspect, which is the material. The material talks about the tangible parts of our culture, the ones that you see, the overt and observable ones, such as your art, your culture, your craftsmanship, your industry, your skill, and all that. Hold there. You enter into somebody's house and you see carvings of heads, Africanness with broad noses and all that, pasted around the person's house, along the stretch of the person's corridor. What is the first thing that people will begin to think of? Hey, this man is a juju man or something. What are these African heads doing here? That is enculturation right there. That is your westernized mind talking, right? You see African pots that are designed with some intricate designs. And what do we say? Oh, this guy, this guy has to be some backwards guy. But look at, if you want to see beauty, look at some of our carvings. Look at some of these things. And yes, we're going with it. So even on the material side, and look at our clothing. Look at our clothing, westernized. I mean, today I intentionally even did this to make a statement. I went all Disney World with my Donald Duck and my Mickey Mouse and my Daffy Duck and all that. Why? Because we're so westernized. We still westernized in the material side. Look at the non-material aspects of culture and see how psychologically we've been messed up. The first one is language. We could do a whole show on language, a whole 1 hour discussion on language. Language itself and how it's affected us. So whilst I'm having my time alone, someone just sat in front of me and said, open the mic. So I've opened the mic. Boss, what are you doing here?
Oh, I want to join the discussion with you.
But it's not a discussion. I'm just talking.
So it's a discussion. How can you alone be talking?
I'm talking to my listeners.
People.
No, I'm talking to my listeners.
Okay, we'll talk together.
Okay, why here?
We want to talk about our culture, our land, people, Africans.
But for me, the biggest challenge is the fact that we don't see it as a problem. Do you think the guy who is dressed in the Armanis and one of the Armanis as well, I mean, all these designs, pull his trousers down, his boxer shorts are showing, walking, do you think he knows that he's so westernized, he has no Africanness in him? He's even aware, and if he's not aware, how is he even going to start changing? Where did this thing come from?
How can you be aware when you have neo-colonialism ruling you?
Oh, is that where you're going?
But do you know that it's a mindset thing? That do you know that we look down upon ourselves?
That's what Nana Fridia was saying.
Yes, simply because first of all, we lack knowledge to know that there are so many things that we should be proud of as a people. Simply because colonialism had come and Westernness have actually indoctrinated us to believe.
But hold on,
whatever we have,
hold on, Mr. Danko. We kicked them out in 57.
Yes.
What happened beyond 57?
Well, see, you kick them out, but your school curriculum, who designed it for you?
So that's where our problems are.
What you are calling school, who designed it for you? It's the same thing. See, we letting them go alone is not enough. The problem is that, see, when we were on this continent as Africa was the most civilized people on earth. The Westerners were not civilized. In fact, it took Africans to actually civilize the West. Do you know that?
In fact, there was a time when we had the world's richest on this continent.
You understand? So what we have failed to understand is that the power that we hold is our culture and traditions. But then Westerners managed to confuse us. And we now believe that whatever we have is rather not good.
Inferior.
Unless it is Western, it's not good. And that is why, see, they are setting all the agenda for us to follow. That's why we can never catch up with them. But when we begin to think better, do you know we better? I was telling somebody last night that Africa's future is in its past. Until we begin to know who we were, what we were capable of doing before colonialism came in to change us. If we go back to that, then we'll begin to realize that, we know a lot. I was listening to an American researcher who has researched and has proven that when we talk about civilization and knowledge, Africa is started from. And they'll tell you that even in museums in Greek, but we say Greeks were the people who were first civilized and they civilized the world.
Yeah.
But so when you go there, all the Greeks that we hear about, the Socrates and all the people, they themselves have written it, and it is lying there, that they came to learn from Egypt. Everything they knew, they came to learn from Egypt. They came to study very knowledgeable people in Africa.
And when you say
black
Egypt,
people,
you are not talking of this light
no,
this Arabized.
This Egypt is Arabs. Egypt is not an Arabic made. Egyptians were black people like you and I.
Okay.
You know that. That's how Egyptians were. The Arabs came to conquer them through wars and took over the land and made the place look like North Africa is like for white people. No, Africa is for black people. And when you go to those museums, according to the researcher, these people wrote that everything they didn't know, they came to learn in Africa. And when they were going, they actually took some of the books and knowledge from here to their countries to go and continue their knowledge gathering. So if you know that the most knowledgeable people were once in Africa, why will you want somebody to determine to you what is your culture, what is your tradition, what you should wear, what you should eat, what you should do? In fact, when you eat with your hands, people think that it's weird.
Yeah.
When I went abroad for the first time, I ate with my hands. People,
and we're looking
the
at
whole
you
restaurant, everybody was looking at me.
They didn't sack you.
They can't. And I tell them, when you eat with your hands, the taste is different from that spoon. See, we just have allowed these people to come and change who we are. Okay. The UNRWA is proving that in everybody, whether white color or anything, when you do the DNA to trace, there's a black gene in every human being.
They all came from this continent.
All came from the continent. So you see, when we go back to the past and know what we are capable of doing, do you know all the pyramids that were built by black people?
Yes,
Most of the forts and museums and castles around the world, the most popular ones that you see around in Rome and UK and other places, are built by black people. We have the knowledge, we have the expertise. We're more superior in terms of knowledge than any other race. But because they came in and having realized that if they don't obliterate what we stand for, what we know, they can never overtake us. So they obliterated everything, and they won't write it in any book. They won't let you have any knowledge of it. Okay? And then they will let you understand that they are the masters of everything. So whatever they tell you, you believe. But see, when you begin to go back and you begin to learn, you realize that these people came to steal what you know, and they are using the same information now to make you look, excuse me to say, look down upon yourself like you are a lesser human being. But you must understand that no way. Do you know that your black skin is more precious than a white person's skin? Do you know that? See, there are a lot of knowledge, and I'm encouraging all of us as black people that thanks to the internet, okay,
go and read.
A lot of things are now coming up. Well done research work, proven by evidence and all that. How many people knew that until the Suez Canal was created, there was no sea between Egypt and the Middle East? How many people knew that? Until the Suez Canal was created.
Because they needed a shorter route.
You understand it? And until then, you just walk to the Middle East. You don't need to cross any sea. How many black people know that? So you see, all that we need to know is in the past. The people have hidden it from us. And until we go back to the past, if in the past we were capable of doing all these things, why is it that today we are not able to do it? Do you know the pharaohs of the day were black people? Do you know people have research to know that popes, some of the most powerful popes for the Roman Catholic Church, and Rome, not the church, but Rome as an empire, some of their most powerful leaders were black people. How many black people know this? So you see, the Bible says, lack of knowledge, my people perish. Until Africans begin to go back into the past, okay, we will not know who we are. That's why I will never forget the likes of Professor Ali Manzouri. They try to bring us back to where we come from, to let us understand that when you are a black person, you should be the one that should be proud of yourself. But we have given into this kind of colonial mindset. So even though we've sacked them, you still read their history and their books.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
Yeah, we knew about Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama.
How can somebody say he discovered a place where human beings are already existing? Somebody comes to tell you, I discovered it. And you also believe it.
And you clap for him.
And you clap for the person and says, somebody discovered Africa. Africa that existed and Africa that existed and was more civilized before the person who is telling you that he came to discover your continent. And we believe it. Look at recently I was telling you about Rwanda. Even in recent history, we've been made to learn a history that Rwanda is made up of 2 tribes. And you go there and they dedicate to you and say that is the Western propaganda that we believed. It is never true. They're just one tribe. Rwanda is one tribe. What they had as a culture and tradition is that they have their own way of separating the rich from the poor. And if you have 10 cows and more, you are considered rich. And then when you get that, you are now branded as a Tutsi. The Tutsis are the rich people. And the Hutus are poor people. It is not 2 different tribes. But we read this in our history books and we believe it that Rwanda has 2 tribes.
In fact, they even add a third one. Is it a Twasa as well?
You understand it. But you go there and they speak one language. At the time of colonization, they had one chief. They are one people. Their culture and everything is one. But as part of their culture, they believe that the only way you can differentiate a society is to get those who have money, those who don't have. And those times it is animals. So if you have more than 10 cows, you are considered rich and now you become a Tutsi. It's just a social status. So you see, when you have your culture, as you said, somebody comes to see a nice artifact and says, oh, this one is idol worshipping. It's idol.
It's fetish.
It is fetish. We sit in Africa and say things are fetish. And in America, people are licensed to practice as witches. How many people know that witches are licensed in America to practice as fortune tellers? They are licensed to. The state license them as witches. Licensed witches. So you can go there and say, look into my hand and tell me my future. You pay money. But here you are sitting there, you say your grandmother is a witch. When you have lived your useless life, now you want to blame somebody. But in a country that you think is civilized, they license the witches you think is a backward thing. So you see, when we begin to get knowledge and begin to understand. Look, my cousin works in the bank. All of this weekend, I educated him to understand that when we say central banking, when we say it's a private business. And it was started by somebody who came with the idea that you can make more money easily by borrowing money to government. And he sent 5 of his children to UK, Germany, and other places to start central banks. When I showed him and he watched it, he was like, I'm a banker, but I don't know this. I've never heard of this. And I said, you have all the evidence before you. He was like, wow. And I said, you know that today, central banking, there are people who control those things. So I see, black people need to understand that when we talk about black person, you are so, you see, it's not for nothing that we have all kind of natural resources on this continent. It's because we are supposed to be the most powerful people. We're supposed to be the most intelligent, the most knowledgeable. Our great-great-grandfathers are proving that when it comes to knowledge, they are far and above. They are far and above any other race. Do you know that research has proven that when you talk to the Asians, they were a tribe in Southern Africa? The people we call Asia today. They were just a tribe in Southern Africa who later moved to those places and have become the Chinese, the Japanese, or you say, they were a tribe in Southern Africa. Are you aware of that? So when you see the whole world, the world actually is Africa. But because this propaganda and westernization has made us to believe that we are less human beings, we don't read, we don't learn anything. And even with the internet that is supposed to help us learn to know who we are, we rather are learning something else. And all that we are learning actually is making, excuse me to say, more stupid, so that we could talk to these people. But I can tell you that with the little I am learning, and I'm learning most of these things on the internet, Jerry. I'm learning all of these things on the internet. And I'm beginning to learn a whole lot. I'm like, now I am more conscious as a black person. And I know that I'm superior than a white person. Let nobody fool you, let nobody believe you, because when you go back into all this research, you know, today, the pharaohs of Egypt are being assumed all over the place by archaeologists because they wanted to prove a point that this is what Africa is or is not. And do you know that most of the pharaohs that have been assumed so far from the ground have turned out to be blacks? And we are talking about Africa, where people came to learn how to write. Writing. Today we say we are writing. Writing started with hieroglyphics, and hieroglyphics started in Egypt.
Yep.
So a lot of the things that we need to know as black people that will empower us, for us to be proud and know that all these inventions and things we are seeing around the world, it's not beyond a black person. No. And if you read, you can see that a lot of them actually are inventions of black people, but only that they will not want to tell you. When you talk about Elon Musk, it's not from South Africa. When we are talking about Twitter, all of it, the Tesla and everything, whose company is it? It's not Elon Musk, but is it not operating in America? So people may think that Elon Musk is an American.
Anyway,
but is it not from the African continent?
We will never be able to conclude.
Have you watched the movie called The Hidden Figures?
Yes. I mean, we'll never be able to conclude this discussion on Africa.
So I just
that's why every
Thursday,
to
understand. Everybody should go and look for the movie called Hidden Figures.
Every
all
Thursday
the five people were trying to go to where were they trying to go to the moon, right?
Yes.
They did every calculation, it won't work. It took 3 black women, and because they were black women, the thing was hidden away.
We're talking about her
and
here.
So somebody has gone to do research to discover that if not for these 3 ladies,
I can understand your passion. Yes, I can understand your passion. Every
please,
Thursday we'll come and do this.
Jerry,
we'll come and do this conversation.
So
it's
let's
9:55.
make every Thursday. I will start do research. I actually come and give people.
Yes, we want to educate people.
Actually, sites they can go to.
That's what we are here to do.
Relevant information.
Thursdays are art, culture, and tourism Thursdays right here on Zed in the Morning. All too soon, your show is up. People will be here tomorrow to do the TGIFF edition. Thank God it's finally Friday. That's tomorrow, God willing. But yes, you've learned you're more powerful than you think. You're an African. Be proud of yourself.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.